guys, so today I am 29 weeks. I know some of you might have seen, maybe not, the video I posted yesterday. I don't know why the audio isn't working on the upload. When I went back and looked at the video, I hear myself fine. I think that maybe there was just a glitch in the uploading, so I'm going to delete that one and try to upload it again, and hopefully I don't have any problems with this. I am doing it on my phone since our computer crashed and we have no memory left on our memory cards for my video camera, and since my computer's crashed, I can't transport it and put it on my computer or on a USB through my computer. So I am like stuck right now, and being on bed rest and having to be home most of the time, I never get a chance to go and get a new one, and I need to do that next time my husband and I go out. But anyways, I'm 29 weeks and I'm so happy that I've made it this far with the baby, and she's still in there and growing and kicking. There's been a lot that's been going on in the past couple weeks since I last talked to you guys. I was 24 weeks, I believe, when I talked to you guys last, and I really wanted to do these updates every week from then, but just one thing after another kept coming up and it just wasn't happening. So around 26 weeks, on a Sunday, I was experiencing really uncomfortable, which ended up being actually just Braxton Hicks contractions, but I have never experienced Braxton Hicks contractions, and when I was in labor with Sabrina, it was all back labor, so I've never experienced just front labor, painful front labor, or just uncomfortable labor before, so besides the back labor. So all day I was feeling just like the tightening in my stomach, and it made me like have to sit up and like try to breathe because it was just like so uncomfortable. And I had a little bit of pinkish, this is gonna be a TMI moment, but like I've been having just a lot of mucus, like, or whatever, that normal stuff you get when you wipe or whatever, and throughout the day it just had a little pink tint to it, and I wasn't feeling any symptoms of a UTI or infection or whatever that they usually ask about if you might have a bladder infection and stuff like that. I wasn't feeling any symptoms. It was just like a little light pink tint to the mucus, and after about, let's see, I felt them around like 5 in the morning, and they just kept coming, and around noon, I woke up and I was telling my husband, he was getting ready to go to work, and I was telling him, like, I feel really uncomfortable, and actually, no, it was Sunday. He wasn't getting ready to go to work. He had a car meet that he had planned to go to with his friends, and I told him, you know, I wasn't in any pain, and, you know, it could just be Braxton Hicks, and I just didn't know, so I told him to just go ahead and go because I wasn't too worried about it, even though they were just really uncomfortable. I've read that people experience different strengths and uncomfortableness when it comes to these. So I told him to just go ahead and go, and I'd call him if anything changed. So then around 1:30, I noticed that they were coming a lot sooner, like close together than earlier throughout the day. So then I just went ahead and called my hospital, labor and delivery. Well, we have a nurse hotline, so I called the nurse hotline, and they got me in touch with the on-call doctor, and she read up on my history and gave me a call back and kept asking me questions, and I kept telling her, you know, I'm not in any pain, it's just really uncomfortable to the point where, like, I couldn't really breathe, like I felt like a tightening even in my chest. I don't know how to explain it, but that's pretty much just what was happening. And then she asked me a bunch of questions, and everything I kept saying no to were, you know, normal. So she's like, okay, well, they could just be Braxton Hicks, but because of my history, she wanted me to just come into labor and delivery and get a non-stress test or whatever, and just be monitored for a couple hours. So then I went in, and I wasn't too nervous or scared because I don't know, I just felt like at this point, yeah, it was only 27 weeks or 26 weeks, almost 27 weeks. But I felt like if this was going to happen, then at least she's viable and past the point where everything will be okay. Like, in my mind, I just kept that in my, like, I just kept it going through my head, like, she'll be fine, she'll be okay, she will survive, she will fight, you know? But just so I didn't get freaked out and think too much about it. So, we get there, and I called my husband telling him that I was on my way, and he's like, I'm gonna come and be with you, and I told him to not because I really didn't think it was that big a deal, and I told him my cousin's here, my mom's on her way, so my mom lives really close to where we are, so she's gonna come meet me, and so I went ahead and went. I get there, they hook me up to the monitor, and the nurse tells me that she's going to check me after they see what's going on the monitor for a little bit. And so an hour goes by, she comes in and she tells me, oh, your contractions are 6 to 7 minutes apart since you've gotten here, and that's not normal. They, if these were just Braxton Hicks, they shouldn't be so consistent, and they kept being 6 to 7 minutes apart throughout that hour. And she said that the on-call doctor was in a delivery room or something like that, so she would be with me as soon as possible. And so she went ahead and checked me, and the nurse did, and she checks me, and every time I get checked, it hurts so bad. I don't know why. It is not just uncomfortable, it's painful, like to the point where I'm almost in tears. Even when they're gentle, and even when, you know, there's only been a couple times that my doctor will do it that it doesn't hurt. I mean, it's still uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt. But usually every time it hurts, and this was just excruciating, and it hurt so bad, and that worried me. And so then she tells me that it feels like I'm funneling, and that it could be labor. And then she starts explaining how they will give me a steroid shot so baby's lungs can mature, and how their hospital isn't fully equipped to handle a preterm or a preemie. But they do have this, what's called a kangaroo unit, which the biggest hospital that they're partnered with has like a NICU unit that travels, so they would come pick up the baby, get him or her stabilized, and then transport her to the big hospital, and then I would follow after birth. And so she starts explaining all this to me, and I should mention that this is the first time since losing Sabrina that I've been to that hospital, and that in itself was a little overwhelming. I was pretty okay. I wasn't as emotional as I thought I'd be going back there. It did make me sad, but I kept thinking positive and trying to not let it get to me. But then when she started mentioning funneling, birth, all that stuff, and the last time that I heard the words, "you're funneling," my outcome was horrid, you know. As many of you know, I lost my daughter, and so as soon as she said those words, I had to take a deep breath. And then when she started talking, I just got so overwhelmed, and I just started to cry because, I mean, as much as I know that she'd be okay, like just those words, that setting, it just all triggered my emotions, and I just started to cry. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, everything's gonna be okay. The doctor's gonna come check you in a little bit as soon as she's out, and then she can give you more information on what's gonna happen." So at that point, I called my husband and I told him, "Get over here because they're telling me that I'm funneling, and the doctor has yet to check me, but this could be it. This, you know, this might just happen." And they'd obviously try to keep me pregnant as long as possible, with the contractions being 6 to 7 minutes apart. It was scary, and so he was going to be on his way. And again, these contractions weren't painful. They were just really uncomfortable. And then she stuck around and felt them when they were happening, and she said, "Oh wow, you are getting really tight." My stomach was, at least. And so then she's like, "Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave you, and the doctor will be in here soon." And at that point, they were going to set me up on IV, and do a test to see if I did have a UTI and all that stuff, and you know, because the symptoms could have been early or not. I could have not felt the symptoms because it was still early or whatever. And so she went and did that and took some blood. And then the doctor comes in about, I want to say about 45 minutes after the nurse had checked me and told me that I was funneling and everything. And she comes in and she's like, so I see that the last time you were checked by your doctor, you were about fingertip dilated and 30% effaced. I don't know what effacement means necessarily, but I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And so she's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and check you. She didn't mention anything about what the nurse had said to me or anything, and she goes ahead and checks me, and again, painful. Oh my gosh, I at that point I was started crying with pain because it was just so bad, and she was really checking. And so she's like, well, it's a good sign that I have to go in deep because that means your cervix is way up there. It's not down low or something like that. And then she goes, well, it looks like you're about the same as when your doctor checked you, which was like 2 weeks ago. Fingertip, your cervix is soft, but your fingertip dilated still. And I was like, okay. The nurse just told me I was funneling. She's like, no, you're only about a fingertip. And at that point, that nurse had rotated, so she wasn't back in with me. So the nurse that was with the doctor at this point, she's really nice too. I mean, I'm not saying the other nurse wasn't nice, but they never gave me an explanation as to why one nurse one nurse told me I was funneling. Because I would think that that's a big difference between fingertip dilation and funneling. Like even though she's a nurse, shouldn't she tell the difference between that? I mean, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on all that stuff, but common sense in my head would think that she would be able to tell the difference. So how could I have either funneled and then not been? I don't know. Anyways, that was a relief. So in hindsight, yes, I'm very happy that she was wrong, and I'm very happy that everything's okay. And she's like, well, your contractions are still 6 to 7 minutes apart, so I have a feeling that these are just Braxton Hicks contractions, and even though it's not common for them to be this close together and this frequent, I do believe that that's all this is. And so they wanted me to get on fluids. She didn't say that I was dehydrated or anything, and my blood work came back fine, and I had no UTI or anything, or bladder infection. And so she's put me on IVs, and she wanted me to finish the IV bag, and by the time that they were done, they would check my chart again and see, and then check my cervix again to see if within that time it would have changed from when the doctor actually checked me and her checking me again. So it took about an hour and a half for her to come back, and by that time my husband had got there, and he was with me, and I told him what the doctor had said as opposed to what the nurse said, and he was a little upset about it, not because, you know, he knows how I am and how I react to things, to bad news, and he knew that I was most likely crying, and he just freaked out. And so I was just glad that she was wrong, or whatever. And so then the doctor comes to check me again, and she said that I have not progressed. I'm not in active labor. My cervix is still soft, but it's still at the same ½ centimeter dilated. So she was going to just go ahead and say that they were Braxton Hicks contractions and send me home. But she told me that I'd be on pelvic rest, and which I had been on bed rest, like modified bed rest, I guess. I don't know. My doctor did say I could be more active. Just, again, no sexual activity, no heavy exertion or whatever. I just clean up around the house, pick up stuff, or do my dishes was fine. Light meals to cook was okay. So that's what I had been doing. And so she just said that possibly what triggered, like, really uncomfortable Braxton Hicks, the point that it did, was that my body just wasn't used to me being so active. And that could have just been what was going on. So she told me to just excuse me, whatever I had been doing that week, just to come down and just do less and take care of myself by not lifting anything heavy and just, you know, sitting down most of the day, laying down. And so that's what I've been doing, and I do feel them maybe every other day, but definitely not as consistent and as uncomfortable as they were that day. And so I don't know what caused them that day to be just so just uncomfortable. And but yeah, so that was that scare that I had, and it was not fun, and I'm just glad that everything's okay. And weeks 25 to 29 have been good. Besides the Braxton Hicks, nothing really out of the ordinary. I had my 20-week doctor's appointment this past Friday, and I did the glucose test, which I passed. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but there are times when my doctor has checked my liver function, and the enzymes have been high. I believe that's how she explains it. And so far during pregnancy, they've been normal, thank God. I don't know what it would mean for them to be high. I don't know, I haven't asked. Or maybe, yeah, she's explained it to me and it just goes out one ear and out the other. But I'm going to ask her next time. But everything's normal. My blood count was good, so no anemia. She did give me the numbers, but I didn't write them down and I don't remember. But I did good. So no gestational diabetes either, and I'm really excited about that. So 29 weeks, and symptoms are really just, it's hard to get to sleep, and then once I am asleep, I wake up so easily and have to come pee, and then I wake up like 4 times during the night, and that's fine because I'm at home and I get to nap throughout the day if I need to, but for some reason, once it's nighttime, I feel even more tired than I am during the day. During the day, I can be tired and not feel the need to sleep, but at night, I'm tired and I want to sleep, but I can't. So, yeah, and I've been eating a lot more than I had the past couple weeks. I've been having a lot more appetite and finding things more appealing to eat. So I've been eating a lot more, not necessarily junk food or anything like that, just whatever. Like, I love corn tortillas, and I love me some cheddar cheese, so I'll make some quesadillas with corn tortillas, things like that. Like if I'm home, I'll maybe egg on toast. I love egg on toast, and things like that. Just light things, but more often throughout the day. So I have gained, so far this whole pregnancy, I've gained 10 pounds. 9.5, almost 10. But so I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I mean, only gaining 10 pounds. I did lose a lot of weight at the beginning, so that explains most of it. But yeah, so not gaining too much. My doctor says that my stomach, you know, when they measure, growth is right on. And so my next doctor's appointment is the 19th. Next week, next Friday. No, that's not the 12th. And that's just another regular OB check. And then the week after that will be my, I guess, last ultrasound, my growth check, and we'll get to see the baby one more time before she's born. And I just am so excited that I've made it this far. I'm praying that I make it to the end. And with all the trouble that I'm going with trying to keep her in here, I just pray she's not overdue, because I get really antsy. So thank you ladies so much for following my journey and sticking with me, even though I'm not doing these videos as often as I want to be doing them. But I'm so happy you guys are here, and I'm so happy for all the women who have been getting their positive pregnancy tests through IVF, natural, whatever. I'm just so happy for you guys. You know, whatever works for you to have a miracle, it's, you know, I'm just so happy for you guys. So, yeah, and then those of you still TTCing, I'm just, you know, keep your head up, don't give up. And I know with every month that goes by, it feels like it's not going to happen, but just take us who have been trying for a long time and not giving up, how, you know, it's eventually has happened. Maybe there have been bunches of bumps along the road, but we, you know, just keep in mind that it can happen and it will happen. Okay, so I just want to encourage you guys to keep those prayers, positive vibes going, and just pray for the best, I guess. So thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. And I'm going to redo that nursery tour baby wise video, or try to re-upload it. I'm not sure. I'll try the re-upload, but then I'll refilm it if that doesn't work. So you guys have a good day. Thank you.